Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we will be taking a deeper dive into whether or not the experts are the real villains, or is it Michelle?
Oh my goodness. Listen here, man. This video is 2 weeks overdue. It's funny because today we just released a video talking about a deeper dive what happened this week with Love and Marriage Huntsville. And we even had a deeper dive outside of the deeper dive to where we were drawing and making Venn diagrams and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, we got to talk about this Michelle thing. Because based on my commentary, I'm only going to speak for me, based on my commentary, especially in the early parts, it was easy to make her the villain. It was easy to be like, shame Michelle, like, woe is David, oh, poor David. And then once we saw that episode a couple weeks ago where they showed the flashback where she met with the expert, I think Dr. Pia specifically, that when she was given the opportunity, or basically what was on her questionnaire of who she wanted in a partner, she did not want someone like David. And when she was confronted with it, we actually saw her body physically recoil like, whoa, I don't really want that. So after seeing that, it made me look into thinking, hold on, is Michelle the villain or is the experts a villain? Anything on just that alone of my introduction right there, Blair?
No, I'm
Nothing?
ready to jump in.
Ready to jump in? Okay, let me read something to you, right? Let me read to you the definition of a snake oil salesman, right? A snake oil salesman is a person who sells, promotes, or endorses a fraudulent or valueless remedy, cure, or solution. The term is used to describe someone who deceives people in order to make money from them. Now, I'm not going to go so far as say that they are deceiving them to make money from them, because it's a show. We all got to make a show, and they are professionals in their own right, in their own careers, right? But sells, promotes, endorses a fraudulent and valueless remedy, cure, or solution. So I would say that during the whole matchmaking process, when it came to Dr. Pia, at least in the video of selling David to her, she was a snake oil salesman, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because my argument is that the experts are snake oil salesmen, and Michelle was purposely sold a dream that did not support her requests on what she want out of a husband. Anything on that yet before like I go either further?
No, let's get it all out so we can flesh it
Oh
all
yeah,
out.
because listen, I only want to hold y'all here for 25 minutes, right? Now, do you know the process of getting on Married at First Sight, Blair?
I don't, but I can read it to you.
Please educate me, please, on what's the process on getting on Married at First Sight.
Okay, so regarding the vetting process, number one, where'd you get it from?
I got it from the internet, basically off of Pastor Cal podcast.
Okay,
wow.
Cool. All right.
Why?
I'm just saying this is valid. This is
based on what he said. These are his words.
Yeah, these are Pastor Cal's words.
Okay.
He provided the following high-level overview. Participants undergo vetting for 3 months before they match the couples. Vetting starts with an introductory 75 question questionnaire filled out by everyone. First, selected participants then have to complete a 500 questionnaire, which is analyzed by production. Second, production selects candidates who then meet with the experts. Third, the experts select candidates who have to meet with psychologists for a psychological evaluation. 2 different sessions are conducted. Fourth, deep background checks are then conducted. Fifth, their social media accounts are audited. Sixth, we, the experts, interview their family and friends. Seventh, we look at pictures of their exes. And eighth, after all of this, we, the experts, then match the couples.
Me, honestly, I have no problem with this vetting process. Me, honestly, I'm like, okay, they started with a 75 question, 3-month background. Now it kind of actually make it catchy. Chasing it after the show kind of weird, even more weird. But I get to that later, right? But a 75 question questionnaire. Then after that, a 500 questionnaire and things like that based on what I want. And we even hear something as simple as David saying he wanted a white girl with blue eyes, blonde hair, whatever he wanted, right? But there's no way that you can tell me, based on Michelle's reaction to what she was getting, that y'all did not know that she was not going to like David. Based on this vetting process that Pastor Cal said on a podcast less than 3 years ago, there's no way you can sell to me or my wife, but I'm going to speak for me, right? That based on the vetting process of Michelle, that you, the expert, you call yourselves that, said, oh, David is the perfect match for Michelle. Any thoughts on that alone, Blair? Help me.
My only thought in not calling the expert snake oil salesman,
Okay.
is that there is a loophole.
What's the loophole?
That this is an experiment.
And
that they don't sell it as your perfect match, even though kind of they like to say, we think this will be the best match for you. But overall, it's an experiment.
Yeah.
Are there going to be monkey wrenches in the experiment? Is there going to be some controls and maybe some... I wasn't in science class in years. There's controls and then there's variants.
Okay.
So there is an experiment going on, but is it just for the couple involved or is it for all the people involved? We have some sane couples. We have some out there couples, and we'll see how the experiment fleshes out.
I don't like that loophole. I don't like that loophole, because the main reason why I don't like that loophole, because how are you gonna say it's an experiment and then call yourself an expert, right? Because for one, it was very obvious. Now I want you to
Let me put it on the here.
Go ahead, help me.
Are they expert matchmakers?
Okay, now,
or are they
hold on.
a pastor, psychologist, and a sex therapist?
Obviously, they're not expert matchmakers, because the show historically have a low success rate of successful marriages.
So I think that they're not experts in the thing that part of what they're hired to do.
Okay, but watch this though.
Okay, go ahead.
Watch this. If you had to guess the percentage of the success rate of the people who are married on the show, you would guess how much? If you had to put a number.
Very, very low.
Give me a number.
5%.
16%. Too low.
All
right? And that is lower than the national average of people who stay married, which is 58%, right? So that already lets me know, which I said in previous episodes, that, hey, marriage is already hard. A little more than half, just a little bit more than half of people who get married, who are not in arranged marriages in the U.S., at least based on the numbers, get divorced, right? So it's already hard based on me choosing, right? Now that I got to answer 75 questions, now I'm getting vetted, right? Now I got to answer 500 questions. Then I got to summon my social media, and then you come to my family's house. I got to give you my ex pictures and all these things, all these variants to better help you matchmake, right? Why would you set me up with a harder person to stay married to? And that's what I feel like Dr. Pia, Pastor Kyle, and Dr. Pepper did. When they saw David, she already had in her mind that she was going to sell David to Michelle. Because she basically like, oh, like, you know, what if he like lived with his parents and things like that? And she was like, well, that's not really based off the questionnaire that I did. That's not what I want.
Yeah.
But no, like, you know, like, what if it's only temporary and, like, you know, he has plans to move out? And I want you to actually repeat what you said, Blake, because I actually think it's a good point, and a lot of people actually repeated what you said, to where you're like, if it's a boundary for you to not want to be with somebody who live with their parents or something like that, she should have stood on it.
Exactly. You need to speak up. Don't falter on your standards.
Yeah.
In order to get on the show. Have your standards. If they can't pick a person who you've requested or have specifically tried to draw out based off of the questionnaire, then you don't need to be on the show. Michelle wanted to be on the show. She faltered her standards, and she got David. It's very possible that if she would have faltered her standards, maybe she would have got someone closer aligned to what the questionnaire said. And maybe David aligns in ways that she may not know because she doesn't like talking to him.
Well,
so that is possible as well.
Okay.
But if she is stuck on the fact that the man lives in the basement, and she doesn't think he can offer her anything valuable, and she's not willing to talk to him or answer any written notes or text messages or carrier pigeons or whatever, then she's not going to know what actually were some of the qualities that brought them together. So
in a perfect world, I can agree with you. Hard stop.
Okay.
Right? Okay. Hard stop. I agree with you.
All right.
But can I give her a little bail to get her out of jail?
All right. Let's hear it.
The meeting of the friends and family and the house visit.
Yeah.
She's basically made it through the hard part of the vetting process. So she's basically like, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So she can be motivated. I will agree that she wants to be on the show, that she like, hey, this is my last resort. I don't know why this is a resort, but that's just me, you know. I see the light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, we made it to the house visits. It's almost like that third interview.
Yeah.
That third interview where you want this job, and then that job tells you
and you're
something.
willing to say anything to get it.
But here's the thing, and that job tells you something that you're like, I thought I could work at the office that's 20 minutes from my house, but you're telling me now I got to drive to the office that's 50 minutes from my house.
Right.
And you're like, but I'm on the last part of the interview. Mm-hmm. Okay, I guess I drive 50 minutes a day. And then you realize you hate your life. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because the commute is actually 2 hours.
Exactly, because we just didn't account for the traffic at all. You know what I mean? And I'm like, can we blame Michelle for that? She's like near the end of the process, and let's say she did not want someone that lived in the basement and things like that, or live with their parents. But she's like, okay.
I'll divvy up the blame this way.
Okay, help me, Blair.
I will do. Now I gotta do the math in my head.
Okay.
I'll do 70% Michelle.
70% Michelle.
30% the experts.
Okay.
And I'll say that because the experts, if they are matchmaking to the best of their abilities, as they say, mm-hmm. then they should not be throwing in monkey wrenches.
Come on now.
To say, hey, this person has these qualities which we think will match. If you can get over these things, then it probably could work for you.
Come on.
They could, if there is a list of people that the experts get to choose from, mm-hmm. if there is somebody who is a little more stable, or a little bit more, independent as far as their living situation, then they probably could have prioritized that mm-hmm. if that's something that Michelle had said was very important to her, which I believe that she probably did make very clear to her, to the people. But I say it's 70% because what's something you tell me? You tell me, I don't even know if you tell me this or if it's
I'm about
just
to say, don't put it on me.
People only do what you allow.
Yeah, I never said that to you before.
Okay. People only do what you allow.
I said things like closed mouths don't get fed. That's more my type of slang right there.
Okay, we'll go with closed mouths don't get fed. Mm-hmm. Her mouth was closed.
Okay.
She got fed David.
No. I was force fed David. I said at first, but then you went and then you did the airplane thing, and
then you opened your mouth. But to stay more so on the you treat people how you want to be treated or whatever the case may be. If you don't want a man like that in your life or in your vicinity, then you need to say you don't.
Yes.
And if you're going to say, okay, then deal with the okay that you give. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I like what you said, the 70-30. Yeah. I'll probably go a little higher towards the experts. I'll probably give them 45 to 55. Okay. I'll probably go 45, 55 because you should be an advocate for yourself. Mm-hmm. So I'll put that onus on Michelle, right? But I also want to throw out let me go to this analogy that you perfectly said, right? About how they shouldn't be throwing monkey wrenches and things like that. There are computer companies back in the day, like in the late 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not specifically talking about the big ones, talking about like Norton or McAfee and things like that. Okay. But there has been because I got to say allegedly, right? You know those companies that protect your computer from viruses? Mm-hmm. You know where those viruses come from? You know what viruses they protect you from?
The ones they make.
Their viruses.
Right.
So it's like, so then you get like a fake report of like, we protected you from 10,000 viruses today. You get what I'm saying? And I'm like, I feel like there's a little type of like foolery with the matchmaking. I feel like they are solving problems that they are creating that they don't have to create. Mm-hmm. And my whole thing is, especially coming off the season that they had last year, I think we all can agree that last season was probably the worst season of Married at First Sight ever. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying? And the success rate of this show, based on the mission statement of the show, is too low for y'all to be playing with monkeys. Yes. You get what I'm saying? And playing with the wrenches. Yes. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, it would have been nice to see, or at least, in my opinion, that, after that bad season, y'all need a success rate of marriages. And based on what we see so far, based on like in this season, and we got a long season, I don't know if any of these people gonna make it.
Well, I have a question.
Help me.
Do you think that possibly David was one of the best matches for her? If we think about reality TV and the landscape of how it's changed, even if we think about Married at First Sight and how it's changed throughout the years, a lot of people want to get on shows for clout.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want to get on shows for their personal businesses.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't genuine.
I understand that.
And I would say David appears to be a more genuine person.
Okay.
And maybe it's a thing of weighing out the positives versus the negatives, because not everyone is going to have, I mean, even the partner you have is not going to have every single quality perfect to what you would picture for a picture perfect husband or wife.
Okay.
So could it have been a thing of where, he still lives with his parents.
Mm-hmm.
He works really hard. He's a kind guy. He's close with his family. And if she can weigh out the pros and cons,
Mm-hmm.
then she might see the light at the end of the tunnel with David.
The reason why, yes, that could be a option,
Okay.
right? The reason, only pushback that I'll give to that is they could have matched her up with Thomas, and Thomas would have been a better match for her.
Well,
I'm just saying, like, if the only thing that disqualified David is the fact that he lives with his parents, I think for Michelle is big enough to disqualify him for Michelle.
but I will say this, that Michelle has shown herself to be a lot, like, very rigid with
Oh, no,
David
you're right.
when it comes to being in spaces with David.
Meaning like what?
Meaning when she's around the ladies, she doesn't act like this. Even in the after parties,
You got
we've
Carla
seen
over there
Carla talk
yeah.
about, I don't even know this person. I would have cussed her out if she would have talked to me like this. So I think that Michelle chooses to be one way in order to appear a certain way, or maybe that's how she really is.
Yeah.
And then when she's around David, she's so triggered just by him and who he is as a person that she becomes this rigid, hard, difficult person. And the thing is, I think the rigid person is the real her, because her family says she's difficult.
Yeah. You're right.
But she knows how to keep it at bay enough to get on the show and to get a partner.
So basically, you saying the experts over here doing what they doing as the experiment of basically like, hey, even though we go throw little monkey wrenches and we protect you from these viruses, we're going to create some type of drama that we're going to solve. While whole time Michelle kind of had, during the interview process, the vetting process, is not really showing up as her true self.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's a lot of issues that the experts have when they talk about the seasons and the matchmaking, is that people do not always show up as their true self. They show up as their representative.
Yeah.
And that was the issue with Brennan last season.
It was.
When Dr. Pia, and he was getting real disrespectful with Dr. Pia.
Whole time.
And Pastor Cal, and they were asking him, what did you say you want? What was in your questionnaire? What are all these types of things? And he lists them off. Emily was that person.
Yeah.
But he's saying, nah, not her.
Okay.
So that's why I put 70-30, because yes, the experts are throwing in a little something, production's throwing in a little something to give them a hurdle to get over, right?
Yeah.
But it's for them to get over, not for them to get stuck.
Okay.
And I think that Michelle, with her personality type, is just kind of rigid.
Yeah.
And she also is putting on such a persona to be in the space of the show and to have this experience that she did not come on as her true, full, authentic self.
And I can see that and agree with that 100%.
Okay, cool.
Hard stop.
All right.
Right? I also want to say, because even though I'm giving Michelle bail,
Right.
I also want to give David bail too.
Okay.
Because one of the vetting process is that they come to their house and they go to a family member's house, friend's house, whoever it is, right? If David was living with his parents during the vetting process, I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
Right? There's no way, Dr. Pierre, you sat in that man's basement in his room and thought that, oh yeah, you're a perfect match for Michelle. You can't lie to me and tell me that it's rain when it smells like urine. You get what I'm saying? There's no way. Like, I guess the premise that I'm coming from is based off of the little edited episode I saw of David's spot.
Yeah.
I could have saw he ain't even ready to be with somebody on the show, especially with Michelle, with the little information that I have. I have the little, it don't feel like a little because we watch 2 hours every Tuesday night of the show.
It feels like overload.
I'm like, it's 2 hours, but they have 75 questions, 500 questions, background. They have psyche, and like y'all have more information than what I have, and I can see in the little scenes that y'all have weekly that this is not a good match just based on his living space.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, David's a victim too, because y'all basically threw him in there with someone that you knew wasn't going to like him, in my opinion.
Okay. And I don't know if they knew that because Michelle was trying to be appeasing, you know?
So basically you saying, Michelle, you got yourself in this because she should have spoke up and said, I'm not really with the whole
Exactly. And if that would have threw you out of the situation, then hey,
but
you got 6 weeks apiece. You don't have to be around this man.
And to support your point, obviously it meant so much to her because she cried on her wedding day in the bathroom. Yeah. So like I do wonder, but even though I don't wonder why she thought, I think Dr. Pia did a good job of basically saying it's a temporary thing. Yeah. And Dr. Pia, we gotta give you some blame on that now. Because it don't look like David lives in that apartment. I'm gonna stop calling it an apartment basement or basement apartment. It don't look like David lives in his parents' basement temporarily. You get what I'm saying? Even as a grown man, David is a grown man. It doesn't look like a grown man live in that basement. Yeah. It looks like a teenager who basically never left his parents' house.
Even when he was talking to Keisha, and Keisha said, David, the apartment, come on.
It's crazy.
And David was like, I'm just in and out. He still don't get it. He said, I'm in and out. I just barely sleep there, and then I'm off to my job or whatever like that. I'm barely there. It's just like, okay, David.
And then he always about to do stuff.
And that's what I'm saying. I am not caping for David in any type of way. Okay. I want to make that very clear. I think that David,
at the same time, Michelle ain't getting no bail out of jail for you either.
No bail. Okay. David could have shown up a lot better, a lot more put together. If he had a plan, then it would have been nice for him to tell her.
It'd be nice to see it.
But at the same time, it's hard to tell her because she asked you to leave me alone. Stop talking to me.
Don't leave me no note either.
And also, he doesn't know how much information to share with her because she says she gets overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
So if David has a plan, I would love to hear it. Michelle, you're making it hard.
Yeah. At the end of this, is there anything else you want to go off of? Meaning, like, do you want to explain your sign or anything else you have on this topic?
I also want to say that Michelle has been very mean to him. And I don't think that because we've seen his apartment, we can now excuse her for her behavior. Yeah. I think that she can be disappointed and honestly leave the show, really, if you want to.
Now, that's what I was going to say.
But when it comes to her recoiling when Dr. Pia brought up a man living with his mom or whatever like that, I will say that as a therapist, right, that they consider, not they, but it is considered communication. Nonverbal communication is still considered communication.
And you ignored it.
And for Dr. Pia to ignore that and only listen to the words, that does make me have a question for Dr. Pia as far as, so did you not see how she reacted? Was that not something that was something that you felt like you should have dug a little bit more in? And maybe she felt like it wasn't. Maybe she felt like the lady's grown. If she says she can get over it, that's what we're going to go with. Yeah. And I'm not going to be mad at that because, Michelle, you should have said something.
Okay. So. Yeah. My only thing as I close out this, because I was going to have this discussion with my wife alone, but I was like, let's have it with our friends. Yeah. I want to hear what y'all got to say. My only thing about it is, even though Michelle should be nicer, David is not a Make-A-Wish kid. He's not getting no sympathy from me. Okay. Right? And my only question is, even through Michelle's meanness, do you think she will be proven right when it comes to like David being a bad partner for her at the end of all of this? Because that's what I think. At the end of all of this, I think she will be proven right. And
I don't know if I would consider him a bad partner because he's showing up in every way he can. She's the bad partner to me.
No, listen. So I agree.
So I'm just like, it's hard for me to even picture him as a bad partner because he is going above and beyond trying to get to know this girl. Yeah. So I wouldn't even be able to say whether or not, because the man compliments her clothes and she says that you dress ugly. So
not in those words.
It's kind of hard. Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to put any blame on him for being a bad partner because he hasn't shown up in that way.
With me, when I say bad partner, I don't want that to come out as bad guy. Right? I think he could be a nice guy and a bad partner, right?
Well, if I can
help me
be specific, I don't think he's I'm not talking about him as a person either.
Okay.
I'm talking about as a partner, the fact that he is trying to find ways to communicate with her. Yeah. He's cooking for her. He's trying to figure out from her friends and family, how can I make her more comfortable? Yeah. And those are all things a partner would do, not just a nice person.
And that is true. But I would say that when a person don't like you, a person don't like you. And it's going to be hard for someone because I know David, his whole end goal is that he wants the marriage to work.
Yes.
I don't want the marriage to work.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So I'm trying to draw as much boundary as much as possible, space as much as possible. Hey, go to your room. You get what I'm saying? Because I don't want the marriage to work. Now, can she be nicer? Yes. Can she respond to text messages? Yes. The note, she could have did something.
So then how would we gain enough information to know if he's a bad partner?
My whole thing is this. On the wedding day, I feel like he bombarded her with a lot of information, sensory overload. You get what I'm saying? Hey, I smoke. I live with my parents. How you doing? Look at my half ponytail to the side. You get what I'm saying? And then on the honeymoon, hey, just to let you know, I got a tattoo on my chest of my ex-girl, things like that. I think it'd be cool if we have a tattoo like date or something like that.
And those things make him a bad
And those
partner?
things, I feel like those things of, at least for me, I feel like David comes off as a immature man who is not ready for partnership, and he may not know. He may be ignorant to it. But I think he did bombard her with a lot, but calling it transparency or calling it communication. Mm-hmm. There is a such thing. There is a thin line, and it gets blurred sometimes, of no, I'm just communicating. Well, now, no, you're just, it's a lot. It's sensory overload. And I feel like he already knew that she wasn't comfortable with him just off of the living with your parents alone, because she kept bringing it up.
I feel like just because you have unfavorable qualities doesn't make you a bad partner.
I don't think David's going to be a good partner. Well, at least a good partner for her, at least. And when I say good partner, I'm not talking about overall in like a general sense. I'm talking about for her. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't think it was a good match for her. And
I would agree. He's not a good match for her.
And I think he knows that. And he's trying, well, of course he knows that, because she basically tell him in every other way except you ain't a good match for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I do think there is an immaturity to David, right? That is definitely for his age. That can be felt in person, because I feel it from my couch.
Same.
You get what I'm saying? And it does come off that you are not ready for marriage, because there are some arrested development in your manhood from what I see from this 2-hour daily weekly show that I see. And that's what I use, the just oversharing of information, not knowing that there's a certain thing as time and place, not knowing that, oh, okay, she's not comfortable with this. Oh yeah, by the way, I got a tattoo of like this girl. It's a lot of things that I feel like as a man, as a mature person, you should be like, this ain't the time, this ain't the place. And he's just using the whole transparency and communication as an excuse. Or maybe he just don't know, because he got some arrested development in my eyes. And maybe I'm being led by the witness or whatever, because it's kind of hard to view somebody as mature who live in their mama basement. You get what I'm saying? But it feels like my initial reaction to that is being supported by everything else. I'm doing a little bit of reverse engineering if I'm making sense. You get what I'm saying? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like when it comes to him and Michelle and his immature ways, I think that I agree. The fact that he has some immaturity, Michelle would not even give him the space to show up as a good partner.
Yeah.
I feel like we won't get to see him in all of his fullness of him showing up for her, or him growing in maturity, or him showing that, okay, maybe I'm not mature as far as keeping my space clean, but I am mature as far as being regimented in my fitness and working and cooking, and you know what I'm saying, all these different things, and kind of being like acts of service in those ways. It's just like, it's hard to say, at least for me. I see the same things that you see, and I also would label them as immature as well. And I will also say that Michelle, with how much she's worked and how hard she's worked to be where she is in life, she don't want no immaturity around her. She wants a grown man. Yeah. She want a big dog. Okay.
You want a big dog.
She want a big dog. And I think that is totally fair and totally fine. Yeah. But she's not giving him the room to do anything. Yeah. So. Hey,
listen here. Part of being mature is not lying. And I lied to y'all. I said 20 minutes. We are over 30 minutes right now. So forgive me. You know what I'm saying? Because we all got to get ready for tonight's episode of Married at First Sight. You know that could be 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? So subscribe, like, share, comment. Let us know what you think about our discussion, your discussion, what you think about David. Is David a victim here? Is Michelle a victim? Are they both victims? If the experts, the snake oil salesman and things like that, should Michelle have spoken up more for herself? Because that's one thing about being mature too. Part of being immature is you don't speak up for yourself. Now you're a grown woman and you all these things and you got a plan for yourself, Michelle. You did not speak up when you need to speak up for yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I do feel like, just to give a little cherry on top, hey Michelle, if you just would have been nice, I think everything about David would have been already exposed and people would have been on your side. I think a lot of people not on your side because you're like, okay, you ain't got to kick a dog while it's down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I think at the end of it, I hope at the end of it, but I see it coming, that I'm not making another video talk about, I'm sorry, Michelle.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like I see it coming, but I hope something happens to where David.
And I ain't sorry.
Okay. Well, okay. Nobody making you apologize. You know what I mean?
That might be the title, but that's for that half of the table.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, hopefully at the end, I'm not. We are proven wrong, and like something happens. But we already know, like, this was a match that shouldn't have been made.
Right.
That I feel like the experts kind of did it for our entertainment and theirs. Anything else?
That's it.
We see y'all tomorrow when we drop the review of Married at First Sight. Bye.
Bye.